Hey my gaming gurus, thank you for joining me on the Level Design Lobby. Today is a celebration of Level Design Lobby, with it being 1 year since we started this incredible journey. So without further ado, let's jump into it. What is going on, my game design gurus? I hope you are playing and making the games that you love. You're joining me, your host, Max Pears. Thank you all very, very much for joining me. It's an absolute pleasure to have your ears, and if you're watching this on YouTube, your views as well. And yeah, thank you all very much, and I hope you're all well in whatever time that you are listening to this. As I mentioned at the beginning, this is now a year of the Level Design Lobby, which is crazy to me that we launched a year ago. It is scary to me how quick time is flying. So, yep. But I just can't believe it. It's been an incredible year and a truly great experience for me. I want to thank all of you for this. And for those who are wondering about, I guess, the terms of lack of episodes, because normally for the last few months it's been an episode a week. That is just due to, and I've put this up on Twitter as well as mentioned on previous episodes and up on the Patreon, that I was just taking a break. Every time I've set myself a little break time, every time it comes a year, I'll be posting less level design lobbies just because I'd like to take a break. This is quite a time-consuming thing, and it doesn't mean I regret it or anything. It's just I'm trying to make sure that I keep my life balance in check. So just as a heads up, this will be a recurring thing. Every time we hit a year, I'll kind of be taking a step back. However, I've been more active up on Twitch, so if you do want to check me out up on there, we just played through about an hour or so of Nier Automata. So that stuff's up on there, or if you want, you can check it on the YouTube channel as well, which is just the Level Design Lobby. And you're able to find all of that cool stuff and be able to put this smooth jazz voice to a face as well. This is an episode for me to celebrate all of you amazing gurus, because that's what I want to talk about. I'll be going through my kind of list of some of the best things I think that have been said in my episodes, as well as getting a couple of messages from you amazing people as well, because I think that's important as well to show the community. I just want to say there's now over 3,000 listeners of this podcast, if not a little bit more. So thank you very, very much. 55 members on the Patreon. Thank you as well for supporting me on the Patreon. It's because of this we've been able to get great quality. Sadly, Alex was unable to join me for this episode. Obviously, I would have preferred to have him here, but sadly, just schedules just didn't line up. But know that he is very excited that it's been a year of this, and he's been really happy from the experience he's had from talking to a lot of you, from taking part with Overwatch teams as well. So I know he's really grateful and sends his best as well on this episode. Sadly, like I said, schedules for us just didn't line up, but know that he is here and sending all his best as well. Also, we did the first ever Level Design Weekend, which is amazing. And if you want to take part in that, join the Patreon for $5 a month, because we've got the next one coming out in November, which I'm excited about, and I can't wait to talk to more of you as that time comes closer. As the first one had great results. I think there's a lot of amazing work that many of you did, and the most exciting part and the most thing that you should all remember from this is that you get to get better now because of this. You're going to understand time management better, you're going to understand metrics better, and these sort of things, and you've all been able to make something great. So I think that's all been really cool, and I hope you have enjoyed this as much as I have, because this has been an incredible experience. And when I first released this, I didn't know it was going to get as big as this. I've met some of you face to face, which is incredible. Some of you have been able to help me now do talks at schools and conferences because of this. You know, all of these amazing things because of the podcast, and I cannot express my gratitude enough to all of you. It's been an absolute pleasure to get to know a lot of you and some just talking about video games and others beyond that. It's been an absolute pleasure. It really has been. As I said, I cannot say enough nice things about everyone here. You are truly all a great community. I've only seen 2 kind of acts of trolling in this time. Not that I'm keeping count like Santa, but I think that's the great thing as well. It's how you all act and react to one another. It's been amazing to witness that as well. And again, I cannot thank you all enough for the kind words and support you offer one another. It truly is a huge, huge thing for me to see. So I thank you all very, very much. So without further ado, I'm going to just be talking about some of the things that I believe are some of the key takeaways from the level design lobby in this year. So I'll be talking about the episodes I've done, some of the words that I've said, what I've enjoyed from this, what I've learned from these episodes, and this sort of thing. So I hope you've enjoyed it. There's going to be a couple of nice words from a few members of the community as well, so thank you all very much for sending those in. They mean a lot to me. And yeah, I really can't wait to just talk about this and kind of look back on things, because it's easy to get caught up in the hecticness. Obviously with the launch of Cyberpunk 2077 as well, that's brought some really cool things about, but also a lot of work has gone into that, so it's all been a bit hazy at certain moments. But I think it's great to have a look back at everything. So let's just kind of jump into it. Now the first thing I want to talk about is the very second episode of the podcast, which is about rhyme and how it uses perspective. And to me, this was a great episode, not as in terms of it's one of the best level design episodes ever. I don't know why I speak like that, but that's what I imagine, like a critic talking, or my ego. But I really enjoyed this one because I had been hyped for Rhyme for a very, very long time. I remember when it first got announced, constantly checking updates for it. Some of the screenshots were set as my background back when I worked at Ubisoft. It's a great game. I really did enjoy Rhyme, and I cannot say enough nice things about this, because then I got to meet one of the level designers as well, who we constantly talk up on Twitter. So that's an amazing thing. You know, I got to meet someone through that. It was incredible. I really, really did enjoy that. I liked how it kind of showed me more the kind of differences between your global and local landmarks, these sort of small and yet global areas, key kind of vision points, which would help guide the player. I think how they used those were really, to be honest, brilliant. You know, I think how they did that sort of thing was fantastic, and also the different kind of stages and how they reflected the mood and the stage of, in a sense, grief in that. I won't give any more spoilers on it, but reflecting the story beats within the aesthetic of their levels as well. I really did enjoy this, and taking a deep dive look into a game like this, because I've not made any puzzle games. So I'm always fascinated with this, because I wonder how I would struggle with creating puzzles myself. So getting to really understand this, and also seeing how they chose their type of level to reflect the mood of this as well, with things like having the more open space compared to that of more linear levels, you know. And I thought that was very interesting, you know, these much grander levels. So that was definitely a great experience for me, as it forced me to sit down further and investigate this as well. Many people won't realize I re-recorded that episode, man, I must have lost count, over 20 times, honestly. And episode 1 was recorded about 14 times or something before that was released. So yeah, there's a lot of work, there's a lot of constant criticism. So that will also have a special spot for me, because it was also me finding my voice, finding what was the key thing I want the level design lobby to stand for. And it's great because it's definitely one of the most viewed episodes, I still think, in the catalogue. So I think that's something that, yeah, will always stand out to me and makes me enjoy things as well. So that to me is one of the definitely great things. Well, one of the great things that helped me and helped this podcast become what it is today. I then want to move on to episode 6, which is great for me because I really, really enjoyed this episode. It was Hide Your Details, where you don't show everything for the player, because this is a really great golden rule, in my opinion, of game design, is that there's some, and it has the risk of players never being able to fully see or experience everything. However, for those who take the time to experiment, it can be an amazing game that you create. And I got to revisit some of the more recent and old classic games as well, and how they use different techniques to hide the details from players. And I loved that. This to me was a great one, and it's also one that a lot of people jumped on as well, because it's something they've experienced or something they had thought about when creating their games as well. And I thought that was a great one, and a great talking point for us as developers, is how that you can hide certain information, but the reward and the payoff for that, and not necessarily constantly giving the player everything, especially through a text wall, was something that was enjoyable for many things. And other people came back to me with different suggestions to try out how other games did it, and that was a real big kind of talking point from then on, and I really appreciated that. And I think that was a great one for this, for this podcast. And it was the first time I started to get more interactions from people. I really did appreciate it as I started to see more people come about. I think at this point, I think I had either 250, 300 listeners, something around that, when that came about, I want to say. So it's enjoyable because you can see that being kind of a turning point for the community in terms of things. And I really, really did enjoy, and that's why that's got a very special one to me. I want to talk about the LD principles, because this has been a fantastic one to have, because I've had, 4 people on who are level designers, I believe, and 3 have been released. The 4th one's coming soon, but at the time of this recording. But what I enjoyed about this was being able to chat level design with my friends, but also people who I look up to and also respect as level designers, from Yasin to Seb to Stu, and the 4th one is Kendall. There will be more of these coming out. I do have other friends lined up and other mentors as well, because it's sometimes easy for us to chat online and that, but it's not every day. And especially when you work as well, sometimes you just want to talk about, like me and Yasin would primarily talk about basketball. Me and Stu would just joke about silly things, and me and Seb can just go on all day about nothing. But it was those sort of things where I got a chance to sit down with people who I really do respect and who have much more experience than I do, and learn from them and their experiences, because our journeys are very different. And because of that, there's something really incredible for that, because you don't always get to sit down and listen and talk to these people. You can watch a talk at GDC, which is incredible, but you don't always get to ask the questions or just hear their kind of story alongside it, because I'm not insulting talks when I mention this. I'm more referring to the fact that you don't get a chance to have a pick your brain kind of session due to the time limit that they have. And so I got a chance to sit down and learn from these amazing designers. And that's the big thing, is I got to learn as well. And that's what excites me about this podcast, is the fact about learning and about sharing information, because I do not know everything. And one of the reasons I started the podcast was very similar to why I started writing blogs, is because it helps me to deconstruct games and learn from them, as well as, forcing me to learn from them, not just enjoy playing them. I think you can do that. You can pick up stuff just from playing, but forcing me to deep dive. I think that's what really enjoyed, is I got to talk to people that I really do respect and learn from them, which then is a nice segue onto what became the essential reading list, because this started as me just deconstructing just taking one reading source or learning source and deconstructing that. But now, as you've seen, as the podcast has evolved and moved forward, that I'm now sharing information where I learn my stuff, where I find amazing details and information, which I think is important. And I'm glad to get to share with all of you amazing people. And the amazing thing is, games is normally not just a one solo person thing. It's a multitude of people that come together, and it's the amazing people like you that make the industry, in my opinion, the best industry to work in. So getting a chance and to use my platform to share great content as well is fantastic for me, because it's that sort of thing of sharing information, and that brings all of you amazing people to share stuff with me, asking me to check out these videos or read these articles. And that's the great thing is, as I said, this podcast is also about sharing information, and I am happy that we get to do this, and that is why that is truly an amazing part for me. And those are some of the cool things that I've learned. But now let's hear about some things that the community feels that they've learned and taken away from this year of the podcast.
Okay, so the first question I'd like to answer is, what do you feel you've learned from the podcast? Well, there's a multitude of things, like the suggested readings, the walkthroughs of, the environments that Max has played around with, just honestly everything. Now, granted, I haven't listened to a few of them. I've been listening to, tried to keep up here and there, but if there's one thing that I'd have to pick out, it's the how to get into industry, because that's such a key factor. It's such a key factor for me, because I think that once you have your foundation of what you're doing and how you're doing it, your workflow essentially, then your next step is, well, how do I go about showcasing this? And that's that's the whole episode, is how you get an industry. It's networking and just understanding how to be professional and how to have that dialogue open with people that you want to hire you essentially. So I feel like that's what I've learned. The most crucial takeaway for me, at least.
What have I learned from the podcast? Well, for me, it was the grounding and basis for my first steps as a professional level designer. Despite having been making games and designing games for over 6 years, when it came to level design, I was a serious novice. The podcast gave me the confidence and support to take my first steps on the job, as well as where to begin with other level design resources. Particularly, the level design fundamentals were just fantastic, and were just what I needed at the right time. Cheers, Max.
I just want to thank you, Charles and Oliver, for your kind words there, guys. I really do appreciate it, and it means a lot to me that you feel that these episodes have helped. And I've got to get to know these two amazing people because of the podcast. We've spoken many times about different things, and I truly wouldn't have got a chance to meet these amazing people if it wasn't for this podcast. So again, I just want to thank you two for taking the time to record those kind words for me. Honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure to get to know you both. So those are some of the cool stuff that they've said to me, and it's great. And if you want to know more about how to support the podcast, well, listen up.
If you love game and level design as much as we do, then why not consider supporting Level Design Lobby on Patreon? Patreon is a crowdfunding platform that allows people to directly fund the content and creators that they love. From as little as $1 per month, you can help support us in our mission to unite and teach people across the world about the wonderful and unique field of game and level design, and get some great reward perks in return, such as access to the Level Design Lobby community Discord, bi-monthly webinars, level design weekends, and much more. So head on over to patreon.com/Level Design Lobby for more information and to pledge your support today. Finally, we'd just like to say a massive thank you to all our current backers. It's thanks to the generous support of people like you that we are able to grow and can continue to bring you awesome, new and exciting content. So thank you. And now back to our regularly scheduled programme.
So yet again, thank you to everyone who has supported and is a backer on the Patreon. You all mean so much to me, and I hope you can all have heard and seen the quality update because of the Patreon. New equipment like this new mic, having Alex being able to come in, us having the community on Discord, the new jingle, all of these things that we're using to help make this better, and also helping to improve everyone's skills by having such things as Level Design Weekend, as well as pamphlets on how to make your portfolio stand out and all these amazing things there. Now we're going to move on to some of the other episodes that I've really enjoyed. One of them has to be, for sure, is the breakdown of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I absolutely adore this game. It is one of my all-time favorites, for sure. And honestly, there's just so much to learn from that game. And it was great to deconstruct this and talk about things and how they've changed the open world genre with their triangle theory, essentially. It's all of these amazing things which has just helped me understand open world games from a very, very different perspective, and I've really enjoyed that, and I've had a great time looking at that. For sure was one of my favorite ones. And also we have the Q&A, which, as I said, I've brought in Alex, who's the associate producer. He's there very active on the Discord community, and he helps me answer the questions we get from all of you amazing gurus as well. And to have him is brilliant. He is a great help to me and has definitely helped me take things to a new level. He's the one that created the new jingle and things like that. And just the Q&A is great fun because I get to not just talk into a microphone, but I get to bounce ideas off him as well. So that's been great for me to have that, for sure, because he's able to aid me and make sure that we keep pushing things in a better way. And then finally, I just want to thank all the people that have been interviewed and taken the time for me to talk to them. And that's also a very big thing that I've enjoyed doing, is I get to talk to your average day dev. You know, there are some, for lack of a better term, and I don't like using this term, superstar devs out there. I don't enjoy using that term, but I've got to chat to the people who are in the trenches, who have worked in the industry for a long time, because, as I said, games tends not to be just one person. So being able to talk to my fellow devs, the people who are just constantly trying to work hard and get their name on the credits for less than 5 seconds like most of us, being able to talk to these amazing people and have them share their story is another reason that I really enjoy this podcast, and is another reason why I do this podcast. So everyone, that is going to be it from me. I do hope that you have enjoyed this episode. I've enjoyed making this and having a kind of celebratory episode from all these amazing things that we together have achieved through this podcast in a year. It's incredible. It really is. And I've had an amazing time. So thank you all very much again for this experience. It's great to have, and it's great to be talking to you. So I just want to thank everyone who is a backer on the Patreon. You have helped improve this, and I hope you know that. In the 4 or 5 months that the Patreon's been open, I think there's been over 60 of you who've pledged at one time or another, and I'm truly grateful. We've just hit our, I think it was 5th goal, and that's amazing. There'll be more goals coming, but I just want to thank all of you who've pledged that, because it's helped improve this. I also want to give another special thanks to Charles and Oliver for taking the time to record their answers for me and allowing me to include this in the episode. I really appreciate that, guys. So there we are. Thank you again. I can't say enough to all of you, and I've really enjoyed this. I can't wait to see what this second year of the podcast is going to be, because that's going to be the most exciting thing to see. So let's see where that goes, and I'm looking forward to it coming together. Okay, everyone, take it easy, and I will catch you all next time. See you later now. Bye.